Hey friends, okay, so I am going to voice over most of this video because if you can't tell, I'm a little bit sick right now, but I just want to show you what's going on in December, and then we have a few things that we need to get done around the garden. So let's get into it. Starting off on a really high note, those are lettuce seeds that never germinated and some dill and some cilantro that is looking pretty sad. The pineapples, these are just how they look surviving winter, nothing much to share there. These are some Burpee's tender green, I believe. They're just some bush beans. And there's another pineapple and the the basil. Here are more of the green beans. I'm pretty sure these are the same variety, but they look a little bit different. So I don't know if something got mixed in the same seed bag. But they're looking great. This is also a bush bean, but it's a different variety and it didn't grow very well. And this one I'd accidentally snapped the top off of, so can't blame it for that. Pineapple and some potatoes going really well back there. This is some oregano that's struggling a bit through the winter, but there's some nice healthy green parts, so I probably just need to trim all this back at some point. This is the third winter for this jalapeno plant, still doing pretty good, and the jalapenos still look great, so we're gonna just leave that. I probably should trim it back though. Those are the chrysanthemums we bought together. These are some more basil that I left to go to seed, and all I do to get the seed is just kind of pull them off like I just did there, and then you just rub them until the seeds come out. I've got so many seeds and I've already replanted them. Here's my lime tree blooming a ton, and there's lots of little baby limes on it. So I'm hoping that when the Santa Anas pick up in spring, I don't lose all my baby limes, because that's how I lost them this year. A few more pineapples. I kind of forgot to show you the one that's behind the pole there, but it's just hiding there. Those are the last three mandarins that I haven't got yet. You can see that branch snapped, so we need to deal with that. And then two more pineapples that are more in the sun, a bunch of weedy mess. These are the Thai peppers we're overwintering, or trying to. These are cayennes that we need to just kind of get rid of. They're at the end of their life. I will save whatever ones I can, but we're going to pull these out. I don't know if I'm going to try to overwinter them. This is a jalapeno plant. The jalapenos are not looking so great. We had a few days of really low temperatures, so some of those did not like that very much. Same with the poblano plant. I think it's time to get rid of these, but there's tons of poblanos on it, so we're going to be making something with that. Probably for New Year's. We'll see what my family wants to do. This tomato plant is doing great, except we don't get any more sunlight, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this today. I just wanted to show you guys that it's pretty loaded with tomatoes. I will just pick them green like this, and they'll either ripen on the counter or I'll make something out of green tomatoes. The fruit trees are looking good. They're starting to go dormant, struggling because it doesn't get too cold here. A little patch of green onions. The zinnias are starting to show some signs of struggling, so we're going to pull those out today. And the kale looks beautiful, so we're going to harvest some of that today. I haven't harvested any in a while, so there's a lot of bug damage on the outer leaves, but for the most part, these look great, and I'm very proud of them. These are my avocados. They're doing fine. This is the lemons. We got to get all of these lemons are ready to be picked, and that's the one little carcark orange right there with the giant weed behind it that I need to get. This, without showing you too much, this is what's growing in my new planters. I tried to do a really close up because I didn't want to show you guys too much of what's going on in here. I just wanted to show you that there's a lot of life, and lettuce and spinach are growing really well for me right now. The carrots, not so much, and the cauliflower, or actually that's cabbage, not cauliflower in the back. Those are, they're just growing really slow, but the lettuce is doing great. And over here we have just some baby green onions. They're hard to see, but there's a ton of them there because I like green onions a lot. Okay, so now that I have some time, I am cleaning up everything. I didn't get to mulching over everything, which I should have done today, but I've been trying to work really hard on getting things into my compost and just cleaning up everything so that when it comes to January and February, which are really kind of my prep months because things here get started in March because it's pretty much warm by March, So my goal is to make it easier for myself come January and February. So we're doing all of that garden prep. This is a little patch of wildflowers that I'm cutting back to, and I've never grown them before, but I figured why not? I took the heads of them and just kind of scraped them off into the dirt and figured if I get wildflowers next year, great. They might end up being a weedy problem, but it'll be fine. And then we really needed to cut back this tomato plant. I go ahead and just cut it at the base because it's a nice healthy plant, and I'm leaving the roots and everything in, and I'm just pulling all of the tops off and putting them in the compost bin and saving as many of these green tomatoes as I can, which you can see I actually got a lot of tomatoes, and one of them in the background there is even starting to ripen. So it's been about not quite a week, but almost a week since I filmed this, and almost all of them are starting to show signs of ripening on my counter, so it does not look like I need to make a fried green tomato recipe. I've never actually made fried green tomatoes, but I've always wanted to. Not that I think that I'd like it, if I'm being honest, but just because of the movie. I know there are a lot of people out there that their gardens are covered in snow right now and things have really gone dormant, but that's not really the case here in Zone 9. But, I just try to take advantage of being able to grow with the little things that I can, but I do try to give my back hill a break for these couple of months because this is about noon that I'm taking this video and there's just no sun. It is a slightly cloudy day that I'm doing this, but because of the sun, dipping down into the south, I have a big brick wall along the south side of my property and it just shades all of this out. I went ahead and pulled all these pepper plants too. I got 2 tiny little bell peppers, but they'll be great in eggs. And then I got a bunch of poblanos. So I just went ahead and cut the whole plant out and harvested everything. Pretty much every poblano on there was ready to go. They're nice and dark green. A couple of them had even started turning red. So I probably should have gotten any of these sooner, but it's fine. They tasted fine. For me right now, I don't have all the snow everybody has, but everything is starting to just look sad and brown, and it can be discouraging this time of year, but I'm really close to needing to get my seeds started, so it also just kind of gets me excited for the opportunity of, what I can grow next year, and so pulling these out is just making space for new plants, and I'm pretty excited for what I'm going to get next year, especially because I tried so many new things this year that went well, like the poblanos and the tomatillos, which have been long gone, but I just posted a video of what I did with those. It's just got me really excited to get some stuff for next year. I started looking at seeds to buy, but I think this year I really want to focus on the seeds that I already have and maybe just replacing some of the few staples, like I think I might need more cilantro. Since that branch broke off, we have to go ahead and remove it. It's just, when you're pruning fruit trees, it is always okay to remove anything that is dead, diseased, dying, or damaged. If it's, go by the D's. So I went ahead and took those off and harvested those. They tasted great. What I'm doing right now is probably not familiar to people who are in the cooler zones, but here in Zone 9, the trees do not really go dormant very well on their own because it doesn't get very cold. And so I am just helping this tree go dormant by removing all of the leaves. If the leaves are like really stuck on there, I usually don't fight with them, mostly because I'm just too lazy, but I let them stay and then I'll come back out in like a week or two and make sure that they all come off. But I want to get as many off as I can so that this tree can focus on going dormant. So we're just going to try to help this tree along. We're supposed to have some cold weather in the next couple of weeks, but I don't know if it's going to dip down cold enough. Most fruit trees like to have dormant seasons where it gets nice and cold, and that really helps the trees produce more fruit in the following year, or at least that's how I understand it. For example, the previous year we had some pretty cold temperatures and my trees did really good this year. So I'm hoping that will be the same this year, but we'll just find out what happens with the seasons and the weather. And, I've got the pluot trees and the peach trees and the apple trees that all like that cold winter, and we're just going to see what happens. Though I will say my apple trees, which you'll see in a second, don't go dormant fully. Even when I try to pull off all the leaves, they don't seem to like to go to dormant fully. But they are warm weather apples. The variety is kind of acclimated to this type of weather, so they seem to do okay without having the really, really cold temperatures. But you can see there's still plenty of green leaves on this. These apples don't need the chill hours that other apple trees do. My favorite apple is a Liberty apple, and it needs nice cold temperatures, and I just don't have that here. So this is an Anna apple and a Dorset Golden, and I believe the Anna apple is actually an Israeli apple, and so it's kind of used to the weather that they have in Israel, which is a bit more similar to the weather we're having here than something like a Liberty apple. And you may have heard me talk about chill hours in other videos as well, and that just basically means the number of hours that the tree was exposed to temperatures below 45 degrees. Right now, on average, the nights are about 45 degrees. It's been in the 30s a couple of times. So we do get those chill hours. But a lot of fruit trees, you'll see on the tags that they require like 1,200 chill hours, and that's just never going to happen here. Out here, we probably get closer to about 300 chill hours, and so I bought a bunch of varieties that don't require as much. I did go ahead and buy some varieties that require a bit more than 300. I think the highest one I purchased requires either 600 or 700 hours. But I've been hearing a lot of talk from fellow gardeners and even just people that I've watched on YouTube and in the nurseries. And, a lot of people have said they've had success growing apples in our climate that need those higher chill hours. And so I wasn't as worried about it. And actually the peaches, the pluots, and the apples are doing the best out of all the fruit trees in my garden. I have not gotten a single avocado, and you can see this little lemon tree is pretty sad looking in as far as size. It's obviously producing me fruit, but it's not doing much in far as size. And I've got one little orange from the orange tree on this hill. And everybody told me, grow avocados, grow citrus, because that's what grows well in our area. But, the microclimate in your backyard sometimes affects things. And also just listening to other people who've had experiences in your area is helpful, because a lot of people told me that. But I actually have seen people in my area growing peaches and growing apples, and so I've seen that success, and it turned out that they were way more successful than the citrus or the avocados for me. Excuse the interesting camera work. My husband decided to film me for this, and so it's a little bit bumpy, but he didn't do a bad job. And this weed was huge, so I told him to film me getting rid of this because I was just really impressed with the size of this thing. The last thing we get to harvest in December are these beans. With bean plants, the more you pick them, the more they grow, or the more they fruit rather. So you really want to get on top of it. I haven't been, and these bean plants have been struggling a little bit, but look at, they're still producing pretty well for the size of these tiny little plants. And so I'm still pretty happy with how these turned out. I just wished that the third one from this variety I had not accidentally knocked the top off of, because I would have had a lot more beans, because that one had looked really strong. And that is it. That was our little harvest for December. That's what's going on right now in my garden. And I hope that you guys will tune in January to see what I'm going to be doing to continue to prep, and I'm sure I'm going to still get a little bit more of a harvest. If you want to see more like this, click the subscribe button, and I just really appreciate you guys spending some time with me in the garden, and I can't wait to see you in January. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye-bye.